what are they?
Name the human rights?
What the human rights are?
The right to live.
Equality between all peoples.
Right to religion, the right to...
Is there supposed to be a list somewhere I should be aware of?
According to the United Nations, there are a total of 30 human rights, which are usually lumped together and called simply human rights. They're all listed out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is the world's most widely accepted document on the subject. But it was a long time in coming. At first, there were no human rights. If you were in with the right crowd, you were safe. If you weren't, well, you weren't. But then a guy named Cyrus the Great decided to change all that. After conquering Babylon, he did something completely revolutionary. He announced that all slaves were free to go. He also said people had the freedom to choose their religion, no matter what crowd they were a part of. They documented his words on a clay tablet known as the Cyrus Cylinder. And just like that, human rights were born. The idea spread quickly to Greece, to India, and eventually to Rome. They noticed that people naturally followed certain laws, even if they weren't told to. They called this natural law, but it kept getting trampled on by those in power. Not until 1,000 years later in England did they finally get a king to agree that no one can overrule the rights of the people, not even a king. People's rights were finally recognized, and they were now safe from those in power. Kind of. It still took a bunch of British rebels declaring their independence before the king got the point that all men are created equal. Which isn't to say he liked the idea, but he couldn't stop them, and America was born. The French immediately followed with their own revolution for their own rights. Their list was even longer, and they insisted that these rights weren't just made up. They were natural. The Roman concept of natural law had become natural rights. Unfortunately, not everyone was so thrilled. In France, a general named Napoleon decided to overthrow the new French democracy and crown himself emperor of the world. He almost succeeded, but the countries of Europe joined forces and defeated him. Human rights was again a hot topic. They drew up international agreements, broadly granting many rights across Europe. But only across Europe. The rest of the world somehow still didn't qualify. Instead, they got invaded, conquered, and consumed by Europe's massive empires. But then a young lawyer from India decided enough was enough. His name was Mahatma Gandhi, and in the face of violence, he insisted that all people of Earth had rights, not just in Europe. Eventually, even Europeans started to agree. But it wasn't going to be that easy. 2 world wars erupted. Hitler exterminated half the Jewish population of Earth in horrifying Nazi death camps. And all told, 90 million people died. Never had human rights been so terrifyingly close to extinction. And never had the world been more desperate for change. So the countries of Earth banded together and formed the United Nations. Their basic purpose was to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person. But what were human rights? Were they the proclamations of Cyrus, the natural laws of Rome, the declarations of France? Everyone seemed to have a slightly different idea of what human rights should be. But under the supervision of Eleanor Roosevelt, they finally agreed on a set of rights that applied to absolutely everyone. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The French concept of natural rights had finally become human rights. So, in summary, at first, only a few lucky people had any rights, until one of those guys decided, hey, other people should have some rights too, which was great, except not everyone agreed. And it only took a few thousand years of fighting and declarations and more fighting until everyone finally agreed that human rights should apply to everyone. And they all lived happily ever after. Except for one little problem. If people have the right to food and shelter, why are 16,000 children dying of starvation every day? 1 every 5 seconds. If people have freedom of speech, Why are thousands in prison for speaking their minds? If people have the right to education, why are over 1 billion adults unable to read? If slavery has truly been abolished, why are 27 million people still enslaved today? More than twice as many as in 1800. The fact is, when it was signed, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights did not have the force of law. It was optional. And despite many more documents, conventions, treaties, and laws, it's still little more than words on a page. So the question is, who will make those words a reality?
I have a dream today.
When Dr. King marched for racial equality, he was marching for rights that had been guaranteed by the United Nations for almost 2 decades. But still, he marched. When Nelson Mandela stood up for social justice in the 1990s, his country had already agreed to abolish such discrimination for almost 40 years. But still, he fought. Those who fight today against torture, poverty, and discrimination are not giants or superheroes. They're people. Kids, mothers, fathers, teachers. Free-thinking individuals who refuse to be silent. Who realize that human rights are not a history lesson. They're not words on a page. They're not speeches or commercials or PR campaigns. They are the choices we make every day as human beings. They are the responsibility we all share to respect each other, to help each other, and to protect those in need. As Eleanor Roosevelt said, where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places close to home. So close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Yet they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood he lives in, the school or college he attends, the factory, farm, or office where he works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere.
好，我这个 share 完了。
Excellent. All right.
好的，非常好。大家晚上好，欢迎。
Tourism webinar series. My name is Andy Shi, and I'm the executive director of CPAC. I want to welcome you to tonight's webinar. I hope you enjoyed the video we just shown, and this is the first time I actually have seen it, and it's an excellent summary of everything about human rights. Well, tonight's webinar is being simultaneously translated into Chinese, so if you want to listen in Chinese, there is an icon at the bottom of the screen. At the right, you click on the interpretation icon, then click on the Chinese channel that you can listen in Chinese. And you also need to click the line at the bottom. It said mute original audio, that you can have a very quiet environment without being bothered by the noise from the other side. And you can switch back and forth listening to English and Chinese. Our topic today is hate crime, hate incidents, and also personal and property safety. I mean, hate crime, hate incident, everything's based on human rights. Our speaker today is somebody who's very well versed in human rights issues, and that's Constable Mason Joe from the York Regional Police. He actually studied justice at Guelph University and got a degree from that, and also went on to get his master's in leadership. He's now part of the York Regional Police Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bureau. If you have read the Xingdao Daily in the last few years, you might have read articles written by him on issues concerning our community and legal issues. He's a veteran of 12 years with the police service, and he's gone through uniform and criminal investigation also. involved in a few cases of the special investigation units. So tonight, our focus is on hate crime, hate incidents. And without further ado, I want to turn the floor to Constable Joe.
Thank you very much, Andy. It's my pleasure. I'm really humbled today being here, and I'm glad to share some information with our community member. And today, right now, I'm going to share the screen about the regarding the presentation. I hope that everybody can see it now. Is that okay? You guys can see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So the presentation, this is an outline, and about the presentation, we just saw the video about the human rights, and for Canada, for us, we're lucky. We're the country that made the law to protect everybody's rights and freedom. And for us, as police service, our foundation is the human rights, right? And even sometimes when we arrest people, the bad guy, we have to tell them you have the rights to remain silent and seek for the legal advice right before you speak to us. That's the rights being protected as well, right? And okay, let's go to the outline of the presentation. We're going to talk about the Charter of the Rights and Freedom, then hate crime and the hate incident, and Criminal Code of Canada's definition, and what could be your first response when something happens, something like that happened, and the tips I would like to give to you when hate crime or hate incident happens. And lastly, I'm going to talk about personal safety and home safety. That's a very important topic that been brought up many times when I was doing the community engagement, stuff like that. So the Charter of Rights, as I mentioned, we're lucky we have this in law, right, in form of the paper that says this one is even above or beyond the criminal code, right? And for example, if somebody have some certain criminal offense, right, we arrest them. However, we didn't give them the caution, didn't give them the rights to counsel, right? His case could be thrown away, withdrawn by the courts or dropped because of the mistake we made. So that you can see how serious Charter of Rights and Freedom overrides some of the enforcement that we do, right? And you can also see that you are guaranteed once you come to Canada. It doesn't matter you have been here for 1 day or you've been here for 30 years or you are born here, right? You have the rights when you come to Canada, right? And if you're, except that if you're not a citizen, you don't have the rights to vote, right? Other than that, you have all the rights as well, right? And you can see on my screen, you can see everyone has freedom as well, like freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, and opinion, expression, and medium communication, stuff like that, assembling, right, and protest, and you have the rights, right? And now I'm gonna get into the hate crime part, right? Because we have such a diverse community in the region, right? We are really paying attention to hate crime, right? We don't want that happen to any community, right? As to hate crime, we understand, right? Like a regular crime, it could have 1 or 2 victims, even multiple victims, right? But for hate crime, it could be a whole community, right? And our top hate crimes in the region is like anti-Black, right? Anti-Jewish. Right now we have the COVID-19, and that caused a lot of issue. We have a spike of hate incident and hate crime occurred in the region because of that, right? Right now, you see the picture you can see lots of mischief, right? That's hate crime, hate motivated incident, right? And the definition, right, from for the hate crime and hate incident is such like if somebody, because of your race, your nationality, your ethnic origin, your language, your color, your religion, gender, age, mental or physical disability, or even sexual orientation, because of those factors, they damage your property, they threat you, they hurt you, then that become criminal, then become a criminal offense. When those kind of things happen, we lay charge as a hate crime, as a criminal offense, but we will put some remark as a hate motivated offense, right? When it goes to the court will balance it. See if the factor is there that the hate is part of the offense, the part of the reason of the offense, then the punishment will be much higher than regular offense. As to hate motivated incident, right? Normally in Canada, right, when you call people name, you yell at people. Sometimes you see two people on the street, they yell at each other, they call names, and they use filthiest words in the word, and but there's no offense, right? In Canada, there's no offense. There's no offense as an insult, right? You can call anything you want. However, when you call people certain names in like hate motivated reason, for example, you call nigger, you call chink, right? Then it become serious, okay? Although there's no criminal offense, but we still want people to come and report to us. We want to know who are those people have such bias and hate motivated behaviors. We want to record it, right? And if you come report it, we have the detail of that subject. In the future, because of his bias, because his hatred, he hurt somebody, he damaged somebody's property, or he threatened somebody, then we have a solid foundation to put the case before the court. And that will help you and help the community. So you can see next one, like as I mentioned, the crime and hate crime, there's two categories, right? First, graffitis, like for example, there's graffitis on somebody's property, and it's mischief, right? But if there's some content, like for example, kill blacks, then it becomes a hate motivated crime. It's hate crime, right? And then, as I said, when it goes to the court will take into consideration of the component of the hate part, right? The punishment, the penalty will be much higher than regular offense. Another serious one is criminal code definition about hate propaganda. And the most serious one is advocating genocide, okay? And public incitement of hatred, willful promotion of hatred, right? for our region, we do have public incitement of hatred happened in north part of the region, and some black skeleton was painted black, and there's a noose hanging on the neck and put on the paw, right? And we will be able to investigate, arrest people, charge that guy, and send him to the court. Yeah, that's one of the most serious one in the region. When there's offense, right, we need to find motivation, right? Sometimes motivation could be different. Sometimes could be mixed, right? For example, reactive. Reactive ones like, sorry, I have to move around because the lights is off. And reactive is like, for example, somebody come to a Chinese restaurant. He's not happy about the food that you served, okay? Then he start yelling and screaming, right? And that damage your property, then calling you the name, okay? Chink, go back to your home. Then it become reactive, hate motivated offense, right? Some young kids, they are looking for excitement, right? They like to paint some stuff on the wall, right? For example, they paint nigger on the wall, then they feel happy. They feel like excited, right? That's one of motivations as well. Sometimes they think, okay, some people think, okay, I've been here for a long time. I first came here. I'm entitled to be better than you. I can hate you because you come here, you take away my job. You came here and I have to lose lots of stuff, right? Then start becoming hatred, right? And they start doing something, and it's a kind of motivation as well, right? Next one is mission oriented, right? This one, and mostly like, for example, we know that for 911, right? In states, right? They hate states, right? They have the terrorists use the airplane to destroy those two towers, right? So that's mission oriented, and that's part of hate crime as well. Ethnocentrism. It's like anybody could be motivated by this. Like black people think, okay, I'm a black guy, I'm better than anybody else, right? I'm Chinese, I feel I'm better than other ethnic groups, right? Then they have bias. Okay, because of that, there's criminal offense occurred, then that's a motivation. Intolerance is simple and straight. Fear, right? Fear is like some people being here for a long time, they never see different colors of ethnic group people, right? They get scared, right? They never see Muslim. They never see Jewish, right? It could be that reason. As to hate crime, we encourage people to come and report to us because we want to know what's a real picture, right? In terms of a hate crime and hate incident. However, we do have lots of underreported incident and crime. For example, when COVID-19 hits, right? In March, we have a restaurant in Markham. It's called Wuhan Noodle, right? Then they start getting phone calls, asking for bad soup. They start getting Facebook harassment about Wuhan virus, right? So it has been on media, right? And the community start getting worried. The anxiety is there. However, we didn't get any report, right? And if there's no report, we cannot do investigation, okay? Then the Crown cannot persecute the person, right? So, and the report is a big issue. For me, I remember back in June or July, and I did an initiative to invite community members to our safety village just for this reason, because I understand for our community member, they are really reserved and introvert, right? They don't want to talk. But the problem is that when they don't want to talk, they gossip. They scare themselves. I want to make sure everybody in this country is protected, okay? You should be very assertive. When something happened to you, you come to police, okay? You're paying the tax, you should get the service, okay? You should feel that you are entitled to this place as well because you're paying the tax. You're part of the community, okay? So we want you to report it, okay? Sometimes there's lots of reported crime because of other reason. For example, fear of retaliation, okay? Fear of that the report is not gonna be taken seriously. Fear of to repeat the incident and being victimized second time. And doesn't trust police officers. I understand it could happen because we have all kinds of people from different parts of the world, right? They may have bad experience back home and they don't trust police. That's why they don't come to police. And if that's the case, I think we still need to do some job to improve in that area to make sure the trust and the confidence is there. When something happens, they come to us. Another reason is classification difficulties. Yeah, sometimes it's complicated, right? And people even don't know if they are the victim of the hate crime. And language also play a big part as well. And some people, their English is not the first language. When they are on the street, people calling the name and they don't know, right? It could be a reason. So, first response from you. When you see something happen, we want you to come and report it. Like for example, when you see that red words on the wall says go back to China, for me, it's a shock. Okay, I came here. I want my peace. I came here for the rights, for the freedom. And now some people is telling me going back to China. Of course, I'm not gonna be happy. I'm gonna report it for sure. I want to know what happened, what the police will do, what the court will do, right? Yeah, most likely we have, like I mentioned, we have anti-Jewish, we have anti-Black, anti-LGBTQ community, and then now because of the COVID-19, we have anti-East Asian community as well. And I have seen that you guys have been doing a lot of, CPAC is doing lots of work in this area. I really appreciate that. And I can see that that's a hope for the community. When one thing happens, sometimes our community member will think, okay, it's just myself. You know what? Why do I care? Right? And no, you need to care about it, right? You need to think about it. It's about one community. It's not about yourself, right? You need to step back and look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. And by that time, probably you will know that you need to report it. You need to report it. steps, tips to report a hate crime. Okay, police the first source you need to come, and you need to collect the evidence, preserve the evidence, right? Maybe find a witness to support you, right? Could be a picture, statement, and a plate number, address of suspect, what the suspect look like, any evidence that could help us, right? When there's mischief, okay, please do not cover it or clean it up before we come there, because we need to take a picture, we need the evidence. So as I said, when you report it, always think about a small thing in a big picture. Okay, when you look at that in a different level, then you understand how important it is. Especially nowadays, the climate is a little bit different. We have a great president in the States, okay, is always calling China virus, and it's gonna have a spill over to this border, okay. In States, I have nothing to say because I'm not living there. I even don't like that, and but it's gonna have impact here, right? And we need to stand up. We need to be aware. Okay, this kind of thing is not tolerated in Canada. That's important. That's very important. You need to know. In Canada, our civilization level is higher than States. We need to maintain that. We need to keep that way. So everybody, every community, religion, group, they can live together peacefully. So what can you do? Yes, you can do a lot. You can find it when something happened, report it, right? And always look at the reason behind the disputes, right? We have a dispute in TNT in Mississauga, right? And I think most of people saw that. Peel Regional Police did a great job afterwards and charged the person. And sometimes if you don't know, you're not sure if it is a hate crime or hate incident, it's okay. You can still contact us, have a conversation with the officer, tell the officer about the reason, the story. Then we will find out if it's a hate incident or hate crime, or it is not, right? It's never hurt. We're here to help you, okay? We don't have a wall and to stop you coming to us. And next one, I'm gonna talk about personal safety and property safety. Before I start talking personal safety on the street and your home safety, preventing break-enter, I'm gonna talk about this the crime triangle. So for crime to happen, we have to have 3 elements, okay? If you take away any single elements, the crime is not gonna be there, okay? For example, opportunity, okay? If you take away the opportunity, the crime is not gonna be there, okay? Like, let's see, if you are living in Markham, right? And you know Jane Finch has lots of shootings, especially in weekend and nighttime, right? And you pick the nighttime, Friday night, you go there, have a walk. Okay, you give the opportunity to the criminal, okay? They can hurt you, okay? Victim, let's say victim. Okay, the criminals looking for the victims, right? They look for what kind of victims? They look for the target that easy to get hands on, right? Seniors, for example, right? Female people has expensive stuff with them, like expensive car with fancy purse inside, right? And they're looking for you, right? If you don't pay attention to this, you could easily become a victim, right? But if you don't, then you won't, right? If you pay attention, for example, you go to downtown, you park your car on the side of the street, you have a LV bag, right, on the side of the passenger side. Well, you see, okay, I'm gonna walk into this building for 2 minutes and I'll be back, right? So you leave your purse or handbag on the side of the passenger seat, and bad guy may be around. They can see it, right? They can come and smash your window and take away your stuff, right? Then you become the victim because as you didn't pay attention, you think it's okay. Well, if you take away your purse, right, and there's nothing they can get from the car, you have the awareness, and you save your purse being stolen, right? Is that simple? Criminals. Let's talk about the criminals. Criminals is it's from the big picture we can see it's sometimes it's a social problem. It's kind of like social problem, right? And for example, there's so many factors into this. Family background, right? When the kids grow up from, for example, single parents, like a single mom has 5 or 6 kids, doesn't have enough food to feed them, always on welfare, and the kids doesn't have a parent, daddy to give proper guidance, right? And they are living in a bad neighborhood as well, right? So the chances kids could have affiliated with a gangster, right? Sometimes could be mental, right? Some people has imbalance of the hormone. They could easily become a sexual predator, right? They could easily become people that could commit sexual related offense, right? And sometimes the economy has impact as well, right? And when the economy is not good, and the criminal offense could raise, depends on how bad it is, right? There's so many reasons. For us, when we have a chance to have contact with a criminal, we're trying to educate them. We're also trying to be respectful, right? To make sure they understand they have done something wrong, right? And basically we treat everybody the same. We don't want the criminal thinks that police is so bad and they want to do the bad stuff again and again. And sometimes the justice system is trying to help them as well, right? They have different program, different person, social worker, right, to help them out, right? And that's criminal. I've been going a little bit off the topic, but that's the stuff I want to talk about. The criminal triangle, the crime triangle. You remove any single of the element, the crime is not going to be there. Okay. Then personal safety. Right? I want to talk about the elevator safety first. Okay. When you are in the building, right, in you need to get into an elevator, always stand back from the door, okay? You don't want some people suddenly come out to grab you inside the elevator, right? And also, right, if you don't like the look of the person, don't get into the elevator, right? And if you are inside already, the person comes in and you don't like it, right? Get out right away. Get out right away. You don't have to stand there. You don't have to go up with that person together. Okay? And if you're in the elevator, you try to stay close to the control panel so that you have some kind of some sort of control of the elevator, right? When something happens, you can push the button to stop the elevator at any floor, right? As I said, if someone gets on and you are alone, if you don't like it, just leave. Just leave. Yeah. Yeah, same thing. When you're on the street, you need to pay attention to your surrounding. If you're like some people you don't like and just walking really close by you, you know what? Turn around, right? And you don't have to walk. You don't like that. You don't need to walk with somebody behind you. You feel like unsafe, right? Bus shelter, same thing, right? If you're in close to the bus shelter, you see somebody there and you don't like it, you feel like unsafe, walk away, right? And some people already inside the bus shelter, you don't like it, don't get in, right? And when you walking and jogging in the nighttime or even daytime, right? Use a buddy system or take a dog, right? And try to, if you've been followed, right? Go to a public place, have lots of people, or even you can straight go to a police station, right? And I know that some business people, when they finish their day of the work, they have lots of cash. They could become target. Okay, if you are one of the person from a business, you're going home with lots of cash, or you just went to the bank, had lots of cash on you, pay attention. Okay, and if you don't feel safe, drive your car to a police station. Okay, and when you're going out by yourself, and tell some people where you are, where you're going. Okay, and keep the communication going, right? Maybe texts and phone calls, right? And if you have, for example, if you suspect some people probably is gonna follow you or gonna do something to you, right? Have a plan, right? Don't keep the routine. Okay, change your route and change the time. Sometimes you go somewhere, you always like to go to Tim Horton at 9:30 in the morning. Maybe change to 9:15, right? And another thing is look confident. That's very important, okay? If you always look like you are in your own world, you're not paying attention to outside, then you can be easily become a target. Okay. Walk to be seen. It's important. Nighttime, when you walk on the street, it's more traffic thing, and you want to have some lights or some color reflection that can be seen by people. Okay. And then it is very important. Sometimes you walk across the street, you don't want to go to the intersection, and you have a dark color clothes, and it's not a good idea, okay? So underground parking, okay? We recently, last year, the year before, we had a kidnapping. Okay, one international student was kidnapped in a parking lot because he drove the car inside the parking lot and the one car followed his car. He didn't pay attention, right? When he opened the door, 2 or 3 people came and grab him, right? So that's dangerous. So when you, for example, if you're driving an expensive car and you are going to underground parking, and be alert, right? To see if anybody is following you, right? When you go into the elevator, pay attention, right? If there's a suspicious person and anything is not right, right? Always lock the door. Always lock your doors. And as I said, hide your valuables, right? If you have a handbag that is expensive, if you have laptop, and hide it, and people cannot see, then you could be much safer in that case. Okay. Safety around home. I'm talking about brick canter. We have lots of brick canter. Has been like that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's going to be increase along with the population growth, right? And this is basically information that I can give you for how to secure your home, right? And use deadbolt locks, secure windows, peephole, right? Alarm system, and sometimes people put the spare key under the mat, right? Or on the top of the door frame, right? Don't do that, okay? Secure your garage door opener, and do not put on the WeChat that you're away for vacation, you have a nice holiday in Bahama or somewhere, and then when you come back, your house is empty, right? Or you put it on Facebook or some social media, same thing. Do not do that, okay? Just tell your neighbor that you're away on vacation. That's much safer. Look after your property, right? And do not leave any tools and letters around that can help the criminals break into the house. And do not open the door for the stranger, right? When somebody knocks on the door, you do not have to open it, okay? You can just go answer the door instead of open the door. Just let them know somebody inside the house, they're not welcome. You can also go to the window, wave, say, go, I don't want you. It's okay. And some people will say, oh no, it's so impolite. I cannot do that. Nothing wrong. Of course you can do that. That's your property. You don't know that person. That person doesn't know you, right? He comes or she comes to your property. You can tell him, just go. It's totally okay, okay? If there's service people, just make sure to have their identification. If you feel anything is suspicious, always call to make sure, okay? So underage children cannot be left at home alone, so you know that, right? And one more thing I want to mention about before I finish this one is about brick canter. Okay, brick canter is a big issue, especially I remember in 2-3 years ago I saw an online video from States on YouTube. There's a rapper who said he has a song basically saying how to steal property from a Chinese community. And so as a community, I want to see that we need to work together to prevent the brick hunters in a great extent. Because as the time I was on the road as a uniform officer, I often I go to those kind of break-enter call, right? And especially in Chinese neighborhood, if I knock on the door to the neighbor's door, I tell the neighbor, I say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm investigating this break-enter. It happened between this time and this time. Did you see any suspicious person or vehicle? Even that person saw something. He will close the door, say, no, I didn't see it. He doesn't want the trouble, right? But you know what? Next is you. Because the bad guy know. This neighborhood, nobody cares. It's like my home. I can come anytime. I can get the stuff I want, right? And nobody gonna report me. Instead, if you pay attention, there's a suspicious person, there's a suspicious vehicle, you call us right away. Hey, I have a suspicious person. Can you guys come to our street and check? This is a vehicle, looks suspicious. I never see this vehicle in this neighborhood. Can you come and check? First, we're going to check the plate number. If something is suspicious, we'll be there in a minute, okay? Then the bad guy will be scared too, right? Because they know, sorry, my battery is running low. I will be right back.
Or in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can type it to the Q&A session. We do have a Q&A session that you can type your questions, and you can type in English or in Chinese.
I apologize.
All right, I'm just telling them they can type in their questions in either English or Chinese.
Sorry, I apologize. So we need to work together to prevent the bad guy to come, because when you have people watching for each other, the bad guy come, they can feel it. They feel that it's unsafe, right? They won't stay here long, right? They won't mess with you, okay? So when you work together as a community, they know, okay, Chinese community is alert. They're really good. They're being taking responsibility. They're taking care of each other. We better not to mess with them, right? That's the message you want to give to them, right? Then they will not come. Even they come, they better be prepared, right? Okay, so that's the thing. Being prepared, make them scared, and they will go to other place. They won't come here. They will think something else to help themselves. Okay, that's the message I want to give out. Okay, so next one is thank you guys very much, and I appreciate. And if you have any questions, and I think we still have a little bit of time, I can answer your question. Let me see if I got anything here.
Yeah, that's excellent 2-in-1 seminar. we were trying to merge, the human rights, the anti-racist message, plus a community safety message, and you managed to do both within the time. That's a lot of excellent tips for people. I certainly have learned a lot from both presentations. I really thank you for that. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, I think the message is important. Number one, on hate crime, we need to report. And on the safety side, we need to take responsibility and to protect ourselves.
Absolutely, it's important, because I remember 20 years ago, I came to Toronto. Scarborough is a very nice place. Everybody wants to go there, right? Look nowadays at Scarborough, right? And Markham, like all day Scarborough. Right. For me, I live in Markham. I don't want something happening at Markham. I want, our community is safe and peaceful, and the property value goes up. Right.
Yeah. You mentioned people are very reluctant to talk to you guys about things even they have seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been talking about your colleagues within the police. Is there anything that came out from those conversations that you can change people's, reluctance to talk?
I know. Yeah, it's education. I think it's character of our culture, right? For example, we used to be educated by the parents, by the school. You just take, right? You don't respond, right? It become kind of like a subconscious. When something happen, we feel like, okay, we can take it. We just leave it, which is not right, right? You have to think about it from the big picture, right? Something about you, something about your community, right? And you have to change the mentality here. And you are in control, okay? You are in control because you are the taxpayer. For example, like if you don't vote, right? Then the politician know, right? They won't pay attention to you. They know that you even don't care, right? But if you vote, next time they will pay attention to you because they believe they can get your vote. Then they will have policy, they will have stuff linked to your side and help you out, right? Listen to your voice, right? We have to do something. If we don't do, people will think, oh, they're okay. They don't care. So we can push a little bit more. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mason, can you share your last slide about the reporting number again?
Okay, let me do it. Sorry.
Yeah. So meanwhile, let's
can you see it?
Yeah. Just leave it there for a few minutes. People want to take it down.
Perfect.
Yeah. So okay, now so when people report an incident to the police, is it more effective to speak to hate crime or to speak to somebody else? Do they have a choice, or they basically go directly to the right person, right?
Yeah, when it comes to effectiveness, because for hate crime department, we only have limited staff, right? And they work Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, right? But if most of the time the crime happens, could be any time, right? You don't want to wait until they come back, right? It's best way to go to your district, your area. For example, if you are in Richmond Hill, you can go to 2 districts to report it, right? The officer will take a report, right? And CIB, criminal investigation, will do the investigation, and hate crime will overlook it. Okay, and that's an answer for the effectiveness.
Now you mentioned about the kind of apathy in our Chinese community.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a difference in other communities, the South Asians, the Black, or the indigenous?
Yes, Black, you can see they're really, how can I see that? They're really tight, okay? And sometimes it's, I think it has something to do with the culture too, and what's the right thing to do, right? And when you do something, you need to think about what's right. And I shared this story that many years ago, 2009, 2010, we have one Korean kids in school that had a fight with a white boy. And the Korean kids knows karate. He beat up the white kids really badly. Okay, then they report to police because there's blood and everything. Police has to charge the white boy. And then next couple of days, the community, it's white people, they came out to protest. Why they protest? They said because the white boy is a racism. He always bullies these Korean kids. The Korean kids have no other choice but to fight. So they want us to drop the charge. And our chief has to go on the media. We have to explain that. We have to redo the investigation. The charge was dropped. Then you can see the community is not lean on to that white boy instead of doing what's right. So that's what we need. Yeah.
The community does have power when we act together.
Yeah.
I mean, the Korean community, they are typically very fairly vocal and action oriented. I think
that's true. But the protest was all white people.
Okay.
There's no
really?
Korean. Yeah. So that's something important to remember. What's right,
yeah.
right?
So a lot of people have a sense of justice, right?
Yes. Right.
So good. Now, I mean, when people report something, unless it's an emergency, they should call the station number, right? Not the 911 number.
Yes, you can see the 905 number I provided, right? If something is not emergency, not an emergency, right? You can call 905-895-1221, right?
Each station will have a different number, so easily to.
No,
police, I guess.
Station, you can just walk to the station if you want, but for the non-emergency number, you always call that. Yeah. Then they will generate the call for you. If you live in the 5 district, right? 5 district will send a car to your place and take a report, do the investigation.
Yeah. We have time for one last question. So when people report a hate crime, the time it takes, what are the factors that determine how long it will take to investigate it?
Oh, there's many factors into play when it comes to report criminal offense, right? It depends on the priority, right? Seriousness of the offense, right? And is there any personal safety, right? And so it depends on the situation. Every situation could be different, right? And for example, if it's fraud, it could take a long time, right? And then one time I was doing a presentation, a female was questioning me, said police is not doing much and it doesn't do anything. She had 5,000 Canadian dollar being defrauded by a fraudster, and she doesn't know where the person is. So she wants us to find out right away. I told her, I see that person could be at any corner of this world, right? For example, if that person is in India, right? We take the report. We have to send the report to RCMP. RCMP has to send reports through Interpol. Interpol has to send the report to Indian Federal Police.
So you're talking about a common crime, right?
Yes.
So the question was about hate crime. So.
Oh, you mean hate crime? Yeah. It depends on seriousness, and depends on seriousness. Yeah.
But how quick can it be if the shortest time for investigation?
It depends on. Sometimes we have a hard time to find offender as well, right? For example, at nighttime, there's no camera, no nothing. They have mischief. They have, for example, they put nigger somewhere, right? And then we have to use every possible way to find out who did this, right? And take times, right? There's no one size fits all. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it depends on situation. Some is like have big impact. We put a lots of resource in, and it could be quick, right? And some is not, could have less impact. The priority goes down and could take take a longer time. We always have to deal with the high priority ones.
So if the community united to go for a protest, add some pressure, that will speed up things too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The community impact is huge because we work for the community, right? We want them to feel safe and secure, right? That's important, right?
Well, it's a little bit after 9 already, so I think we should close it there. But Mason, thank you so much for such an excellent, informative webinar. And we'll do this again. So I think later in November, we will schedule another time. And for the people who want to come back again or tell their friend. And,
absolutely, it's going to be my honor.
All right,
Andy.
Thank you so much. So everyone, thank you for participating, and we'll look forward to having you again for our next webinar. That will be on Thursday, I believe, November the 5th. And we'll talk about the various forms of racism, either overt or covert. And that's something very informative too. So I welcome everyone and your friends and family to come back and join us again. So with that, good night, everyone. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Joe and Emma. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.